second session. So I'll start off. My name is Isaac, and I work at the Jersey City Public Library here at the Earl Morgan branch in the Greenville area of Jersey City. I'm your point of contact, so if you guys have any need any information, you can email me or you can email your instructor, Miss Erica Ezepetti. You want to tell us a little bit more about you? I know you introduced yourself last time, but we have some new faces here.
Hi everyone, nice to see you again, those who were here last time. Yes, my name is Erica. I've been tutoring for a while. I went to school at NYU and I am studying to become a doctor, or will soon. So that's why I'm able to tutor stuff. Now, as far as contact and stuff, contacting me or Isaac, the information should be on the library website where you go to find this program. I have a Google Classroom and a Khan Academy. I don't know, Divya, were you able to join the, okay. So I resent links. I think I had sent the links out before you joined, so it was a little weird, but Google Class, if you join my Google Classroom, I'll be able to keep in contact with you and you can ask me questions and stuff like that. Also, Khan Academy provides a lot of great practice questions, and we're going to go through some of those throughout the course. We will also incorporate other resources as well, but if you join my classroom on Khan Academy, you'll be able to, I'll be able to see your progress and see kind of like what you need help on, because everyone's different. Also, Khan Academy, well, I would recommend joining both the Google Classroom and Khan Academy. If you're having trouble finding the link after this session to the Google Classroom, at least join that. If you're having trouble finding the link, then after our session today, we can email each other and get that figured out. So I'm gonna wait just a couple minutes to let everyone kind of get in. It's only 2:34, so I'll give a chance for everyone to come in. I'm gonna drink some water because I'm already thirsty. I'm gonna mute myself and wait a couple minutes.
So while we're waiting, can we just go around and everyone introduce themselves, starting with Danavia?
Divya.
Yeah, Divya.
So my name is Divya Maganti and I attend Liberty High School as a junior, and yeah.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Briana Roman and I'm a senior at Liberty High School.
Hello, my name is Inasia and I'm a senior at Henry Snyder High School.
We have 3 more people who have to introduce.
Hi, I'm Sigourney Hislop. I'm a graduate from St. Catherine Academy.
Hi, I'm Sky, and I'm a junior at St. Dominic Academy.
We have 2 more people. Don't be shy.
Hi, I'm a junior from East Orange campus.
Hi, I'm Malachi Leone, and I attend George Jenkins High School and Polk State College.
Okay. Well, welcome back, everyone. Looks like we have a full class. So I look forward to this session. And take it away, Erica.
Alrighty, so as before, you might see me looking both ways because I have 2 computers I'm looking at. Also, if I'm going to be sharing my screen at certain points, so if you can't see anything, if you can't see what I'm referring to, then don't hesitate to say that you can't see me. You don't have to, because I can't always see the little, when you raise your hand in the Zoom function, so my attention is on something else. So feel free to unmute yourself and just say that you can't see what I'm doing, rather. Okay, so we're gonna start with a little bit of a review. I hope everyone has their little notebooks and stuff like that. Basically just need a pencil and a notebook. All right, Divya, sounds good. So we're gonna do a little review of the math that we covered. Actually, let me think. We did math last time. We might just go ahead and jump into reading, actually. I think we'll do that. So then we will do the review of the math we covered last time. We'll do that when we start the math section. Alrighty. So give me 1 second. I'm going to ready my screen to share for you. 1 second. Just 1 second. Trying to find the best way to share this image. Go. Well, it's not sharing that way. So what we'll do is I'll have to do it this way. Well, while we wait for this to come up, and you guys can unmute yourselves in response. If any of you have had a chance to either do a full practice test or some questions, especially as they pertain to reading, can you talk about things that you've noticed? Do you feel comfortable with the reading section? Just anything, your thoughts pertaining to the reading section. Anyone wants to share?
Particularly the reading section, the content is like dynamic and I'm able to understand. But sometimes because of the time and they gave us in some sections, you kind of like rush into it.
That's a good observation. I think that is one thing that a lot of people struggle with. Do you find that you are rushing towards the end, or how many questions do you find that you usually have to go when you run out of time?
Like around 10.
10 questions, so like a full passage, right?
Yeah.
Just about. Because each passage has about 10 questions. So let me look at it this way. Maybe this will help. Does anyone else notice anything or have any observations or concerns about the reading section?
I felt like it was easier than the ones in like the textbooks in like the Princeton Review and the Barron's.
You felt like it was easier than what, I'm sorry?
Than like the passages in like the textbook of Princeton Review and the Barron's.
Oh, so you feel like the Khan Academy is easier?
Yeah, cause like I felt like it was like more like it was a variety, but like they were a little easier than what you encounter when you're actually taking the test.
Right, I see what you're saying. Oh, so you're saying you feel like Khan Academy is easier than the actual test will be.
Yeah.
Have you taken any official practice tests from College Board?
Not official. Well, I taken like a practice test. Yeah, yeah, the official ones on college.
Did you do the one through Khan Academy or the one that's from like the College Board? I mean, they work together, but they might be slightly different.
I took the one on the college where I took all 10. I think it was 10 of them. So yeah.
10 practice tests?
Yeah, I was just working on it during the summer, but I found like many like a little hard as the years went by, like because it weren't they like the 20, it wasn't it like 2014, 2012, 2019, right? So like I felt like as the years as the recent ones are much more tough than.
Okay, so it sounds like you've done a lot of practice. So, I mean, I know that the most recent test, I believe, was issued in 2015, and things have changed. So, obviously, as you're saying, for the harder. So, the 2014 and 2012 ones might not be indicative of how the actual test is, but still are good practice for pacing and stuff like that. I'm going to post all the resources that I have so far for practice and stuff for everyone on the Google Classrooms. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen now. We're going to read this passage and then answer questions. So Divya, you might have done this already, but you know, the more you share, everyone shares with where they're at, the more I can tailor. And I haven't done the itinerary yet because I wanted to see who, you know, who I was working with and stuff. So the more we share where we're at, the more I can kind of specialize what everyone, you know, needs in the class. So I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to, I see a chat. Oh, sorry, that was from before, not bad. Alrighty. Okay. So, just trying to get all the text here. One second. It's a little hard. That's why I've been struggling to try to fit it all on one page so we can see everything at once. Can everyone see that? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think we can all see it.
Yes.
Oh, you haven't read that, Divya? Okay, y'all might have to put your glasses on or whatever, but this is the best way I can think of. Again, you know, to adapt for virtual things, but this is the best way I can see with all the lines and everything in the same page.
Maybe you can increase where it says 100%. Maybe you can make that to maybe 125.
Then you won't be able to see. Yeah, I could, but I don't know if you would be able to see. That's the font. This is actually just a picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a little tricky. Is that better?
Yes, that's much better.
It just cuts off the bottom.
Leave it up there for maybe a minute so give people a chance to read it and then bring it up.
Okay. Sorry. So I'm just going to start this there. So we're gonna spend a couple minutes reading this. And guys, keep in mind that when you're reading, you want to, so I'm seeing chats. You read the questions first. Yeah, that's definitely one good strategy. So Divya was talking about reading the questions first. So we can do that actually. And that helps you to focus on, you know, what you're trying to get out of the passage once you read it. So before we start reading the passage, we can read the questions. So there are 11 questions, I believe. So I would more recommend reading the question itself rather than the answers. Sometimes the answers can be confusing. So I'm going to scroll down as we read the questions. So the first question asks, which choice best summarizes the passage? We're just going to scroll down to next question. Over the course of the passage, the attitude of the cousins shifts from. So right there we know that we're paying attention to the attitude of cousins. Next question. Which statement best characterizes the relationship among the reunited cousins? So we're looking at a relationship between cousins. So question 4, as used in line 3, the word vent most nearly means. So we're going to have to refer back to a specific part of the passage where that word is mentioned. Question 5, the conversation between the lady and the stranger in lines 7 through 6 that start with they and end in him serves primarily to, so that tells us we're going to be looking out for a conversation between a lady and a stranger. Question 6. Sorry. Which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? So this is asking us to provide evidence for the answer we gave to this question up here, question number 5. So I'm going to keep scrolling down and look at the questions. Archie's comments in lines 46 through 48, beginning with Madonna's and ending in beauty, primarily indicate that he, so we're going to look out for what Archie thinks regarding Madonna's. Question 8, the description, lines 52 to 56, that follows that's Mac's comment in lines 51 through 52, reveals that Mac is, so we're going to have to reference a couple lines once we get back to the passage. Question 9, it can be inferred that Rose is both pleased and pained when she views her cousins from the ship because she, so we're going to pay attention to Rose and how she's pleased and pained. So one trick with that is that we see pleased and pained are kind of opposite. Yes, I can. I can share it 1 second. Give me 1 second and I'll share it in the Google Classroom. So I just shared it in the Google Classroom. I think that will be probably easier for everyone to see and keep in mind. I'll go ahead and finish reading the questions, but while I'm doing that, you guys can go to the Google Classroom and click the link. The Google Doc is shared on there. Okay, so as I was saying with Rose, question number 9, there's a hint in there that shows you that Rose is going to be is going to have conflicting feelings because pleased and pained are opposites of each other. So it's signaling to you to look out for things that kind of contradict each other at the same time. Question 10, which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? So that's asking for evidence for your answer that you gave to number 9. And finally, question 11, as used in line 71, the phrase affectionate impartiality most nearly means, yes, I can give the code for the classroom. 1 second. Here's the Google Classroom code. Sorry. So before I start, I guess the timer on everyone reading this, does everyone have access to the Google Classroom and are able to, thank you, Divya, sorry. Is everyone able to see? Okay, is anyone not able to read it? Thank you, Briana, thank you, Sigourney. Malachi and Danesha, are y'all able to read it?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the confirmation. Okay, so we're going to spend a few minutes reading this. As Divya suggested, you can. I read the questions to you, but it might be easier for you to read them to yourself. So we're going to spend a couple minutes reading this, and then we will get into the questions. Always keep in mind when you're reading passages to try to be objective, meaning don't try to put your own meaning on something, just go by strictly what the author is saying. Also try to keep in mind what the main idea of the whole passage is. I don't know about taking notes. It's a little time limited, but everyone has different, definitely different methods that help them. So we're going to start off with this. I'm going to mute myself for a couple minutes and let you all read everything, okay? And then we'll come back for the questions. Okay, we've had a few minutes to read the passage, and if you wanted to go ahead and hold on one second, start answering questions, but just share my screen again. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to look at the Google Doc together. So, which choice best summarizes the passage? So this is one of those big, main idea questions, and it starts off right at the beginning. So, what do you guys think? Which answer choice best summarizes the passage? B. You can also speak out as well.
B.
Yeah, also B.
B. Okay, does anyone else think that it's anything else? Everyone agrees on B? Okay, so, sorry?
No, I was gonna say yeah.
Okay. So B states that the passage presents a revelation about children growing older. So I think that sounds pretty good, but let's explore the other options. Was someone about to say something?
No, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So the passage provides an explanation of relationships within a family. Why is this wrong?
Because the passage is not talking about the relationship. It's not talking about a relationship, but it's talking about how different cousins meet together. So
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums that up. Choice C, the passage captures a conversation regarding uniting cousins.
No.
No, right? I don't think, as far as main, I see Malachi said no as well. As far as main topics go, the passage has more going on than capturing a conversation regarding uniting cousins. It does capture some of the conversation regarding uniting cousins, but that's not the only point or even the main point. It has a lot of other things going on with it. So now, D, the passage describes an anecdote about traveling by ship.
No, not even close.
Yeah, that's not even close. So that's just an obvious, like, wrong answer.
Yeah.
And with these questions, you'll know, well, the advice is that you'll always be able to point somewhere in the passage to validate or to verify or confirm your answer choice. So if you ever have any doubt about an answer choice, you can kind of just probably rule it out, because the answers are always in the passage. You don't require any outside information. All right, so question number 2. Over the course of the passage, the attitude of the cousins shifts from, so attitude, what do you guys think attitude means as it's used in this question?
The character's reaction to the event or situation that's happening in the text.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. How they're feeling, how they're, I think how you described it is a good way to define it. Okay, so which do we think shows the cousins' shift in attitude over the course of the passage? A, B, C, or D?
I think C.
You think C?
Yeah.
We have C. Do we have any other? Malachi says yes to C. Do we have anyone that disagrees with C? Okay, so it sounds like C, I don't see any chat responses. So it sounds like C is what we're going to go with. So why are we going with C? Anticipation to reticence. So over the course of the passage, the attitude of the cousins shifts from anticipation to reticence. Why do you guys think this is the correct answer?
I think it's C purely because of the anticipation part. I'm not sure what reticence means, but prior to like the other answers, anticipation is the one that captures all the feelings of the cousins the most because they were excitedly waiting for the other female cousins to come, and that was most shown, like portrayed in the text rather than the other three options.
I think that's a good way to look at it. It was similar to what I was going to say. Does anyone else have any other input on why they think it's C as opposed to any of the other options?
Yeah, well, I picked C also because of what she said. But reticence, I knew that it meant like reserve or shyness, so like a quality of shy, being shy. So I was like, sort of in the ending, they were kind of had that character. So I was like, this kind of connects.
That makes sense. So it helps to know what all the words mean, but sometimes you might be missing what a word means. Reticence is not a commonly used word, so it can be, it's very understandable to not know what it means. I have a chat, let me see. Never heard that word. Malachi, a lot of people have not. That is not commonly used. You can even add it to a little vocabulary list, right? So even if we don't know what reticence means, the two ladies are correct when we say, we know, since it says over the course of the passage. So that means the entire path, this is going to be something that happens over the entire passage, not just in the beginning, the middle, or the end, but from the beginning to the end. So the attitude of the cousins shifts from, so what this is saying is that the attitude of the cousin starts in one place and it's going to change and go somewhere else. So reading the passage closely, we see several instances of the cousins being excited. Someone described it as them excitedly waiting. I'll scroll up and show, sorry, this text is so small, but so I don't know if you can see this, where my cursor is. There were several, let me see, I don't think I can highlight on here, unfortunately. Yeah. So line, line 30. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Line 30 right here. It leads into one of those instances of the cousins being excited. As it swung slowly around to enter the dock, a boyish voice shouted, "There she is, I see her at Uncle Phoebe. Hooray for Cousin Rose." That's an instance of, being excited, anticipating your cousin's arrival. And there are other instances in the passage. And they also say, see line 44, which is right above 45 right here. It said, Charlie excitedly as they watched the group, said Charlie excitedly as they watched the group upon the deck with eager eyes. So it's showing excitement, as someone else had mentioned. Sorry, I didn't see who had said that, but when speaking of anticipation. And there are a few other instances, but just want to move it along a little bit. And of course, if you have more questions than I cover, you can email me afterwards. Okay, so question 2, even if we don't know what reticence means, we know that there was a sense of anticipation, and we know that there wasn't any preoccupation. That doesn't really fit with what was going on in the passage, how the cousins were, how they started with each other. They started off being excited. They started off looking forward to seeing each other. Apprehension is the opposite of being excited. Apprehension means that you're kind of wary or scared. Contemplation means thinking. You're considering something. So we could possibly say that they were considering seeing their cousins, being reunited with their cousins, but anticipation adds a more positive take on that. So that's why that's more the correct answer. Of course, reticence also means, being like kind of shy. So the whole answer together is, why it's correct. But if you didn't know what reticence meant, anticipation is the best way of these options to describe the first part of the passage. So question 3, which statement best characterizes the relationship among the reunited cousins? So whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and say what you think the answer is.
I will say A.
A, they are excited to get back to their ordinary lives and friendships. Let me open up the chat. D. Divya says D. Who said A? I'm sorry, I missed your name.
Me, Briana.
Briana, okay, thank you. Divya says D. Okay. We have 2 different answers here. So D, Sky. So we have A or D. Anyone else want to give some input? All right, so let's see which one's correct. So we have A or D that we're considering. Oh, Malachi said A as well. Okay.
I say D. I say D.
Who is that? I'm sorry, I can't see.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so Sigourney says D. Okay, so we're considering A or D. That looks like what we've whittled down the options to. So A being they're excited to get back to their ordinary lives and friendships. D being their growing up has put limitations on their relationships. So these are kind of different answers also. So as with all reading passages, or let's just say with all reading passages, you'll be able to find the evidence to support your answers in the passage. So we're going to take a couple minutes if you don't already have it written down somewhere. But for your answer, whether you said A or D was the correct answer, I would like for you to find in the passage the lines that validate or provide evidence for your answer, and then share them. Sorry, I'm going to share this again.
Do you want us to share it now?
If you have it.
Oh, okay. I say A because in the passage, especially at the end, when all of the cousins are reunited, it says how they like on line like 65 from 70, it says that Jamie was clinging to her like a ecstatic young bird. And also around the end, it says how everyone was hugging each other and how like it's like the general um information they provide in the passage that seems how even though they have grown up, there's no like limitations. That's why I didn't choose the last one. Shows more of how even if they were from different parts around the world or something, they still got together now and still acted like they were young kids.
Could you tell me again the line? You said 65 through 70. Is that what you said for where in the passage? I just missed what you said, sorry.
Yes, it's around line 67.
67, okay. Let me just find that. So 67.
And also it at the end around line 80, like 79 to 81, it says how the young people, for they realized all at once that their former playmates were men and women now.
Okay.
For me, it represents how even though they were like playmates when they were kids, even if they grow up now, they're still together.
Okay, so let's read lines 75 to 81, the last paragraph. Let me just read this chat really quickly.
That's actually a part I've chosen for D.
That's what you chose for D? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read it out loud. You guys can tune out my voice and read it yourself or follow along with me, because I know, when you take the test, obviously no one's going to be reading out loud to you. So I'm going to start at line 75 and go to 81. Archie remained to help his uncle get the luggage through the custom house, and the others escorted the damsels home. No sooner were they shut up in a carriage, however, than a new and curious constraint seemed to fall upon the young people, for they realized all at once that their former playmates were men and women now. So I want to go to 75, 6, 7. Oh, sorry. Is everyone finished reading? I'm just going to assume you are and continue speaking. So starting at line 77, where it says, no sooner were they shut up in a carriage. So I'm going to reread it. No sooner were they shut up in a carriage, however. So the however is a key word that tells you that something's about to change. So everything up until that however was fine and it was consistent, but once you hit the however, something's about to change. So now I am asking you guys, and anyone can feel free to say what the answer is. What was the general feeling between the cousins up until that however? What was their relationship like?
They were excited and basically they were excited to see each other mostly. It was a fresh feeling for them, but as soon as they got into the carriage, it kind of settled around them, like the atmosphere kind of dwelled, because they were like, oh, we've changed a lot over the past years and we grew and matured, so our relationship differs from how it was before.
Yeah, so that's perfect. So So up until that, however, we established that they were anticipating seeing each other. They were excited to see each other, but that however signifies a change from how it was. So if they were excited to see each other, the however there in the middle of that sentence implies that it's going to change, meaning they might be less excited to see each other, or there's going to be a general sense of dis-ease. So I'll continue reading the sentence. No sooner were they shut up in a carriage, however, signal to change, then a new and curious constraint seemed to fall upon the young people, for they realized all at once that their former playmates were men and women now.
Right. Yeah.
So once the however signifies to you that the mood is shifting, the mood was that they were excitedly anticipating seeing each other. Then we have however, that means that that mood is about to change. And then following the word however, we see why the mood has changed. So why has the mood changed? Following that, however, the mood went from excited and now it's changing into something that's not so excited.
Like sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because like even if you put into reality, like once we're like when we're younger, we all play together and we have all sorts of games. But then once we grow up, we know that there's like things we need to follow, and that we have other things to do, and we're like more mature than we were when we were younger, and we know more. We have more knowledge.
Yeah. So that's a good way to interpret what comes after the however. Sorry, I see a chat. Let me see what this person is saying. I think it is A because the question says among, meaning before. Okay, I'll get right back to that, Malachi. So what you just said about changing from young people to adults, we see that in this, again, going back to what came before the however, they were excited, they were anticipating each other joyously. After the however, we know it's changing. It says, I'll reread that part of the sentence. However, then a new and curious constraint seemed to fall upon the young people. In this clause here, it's beginning to tell us why the mood shifted, why we had that however. For they realized, so when you see something, this is kind of an old way of writing, I'm sure you've noticed classic literature kind of speaks like this. Instead of saying because or due to the fact that, they might say for something. I eat for I am hungry, etc. So back to the passage. For they realized all at once that their former playmates were men and women now. So for they realized means because they realized that their former playmates were men and women now. So going back to the order, they were excited first. However denotes a change. It's telling you that the mood is about to change. Then we have why the mood is changed. Because they realized that their former playmates were men and women now. So that speaks to, I think that was Divya that said that growing up, going from child to adult is a big change. So they went from being excited to realizing that they were grown now. So the correct answer is D. Their growing up has put limitations on their relationships. That's one place that answer is shown. It's shown throughout the passage though as well. There's a sense of change as these cousins are reunited that is shown throughout the passage. But that last paragraph is the best way, the quickest way to show the change. I can go over where the other parts show that, but for the sake of time, I'm going to move on to the next question. I will comment on option A, as it seems a few people chose it. So option A is incorrect right here. Option A is incorrect because they're not really mentioning the cousins. None of them really talk about, throughout the entire passage, none of them mention getting back to ordinary lives and friendships. Throughout the passage, they're just reminiscing about each other, how they used to be, how they are now. So there's no talk of, oh, after this, I'm going to go back to my job, or after this, I'm going to see my mom and dad. So it's focused just in that moment of them seeing each other and remembering how they were compared to how they are now. So again, if that doesn't make sense, you can contact me after, but I'm going to move on for the sake of time. So question 4, as used in line 3, the word vent most nearly means, so you have to look at the passage to see, use context clues to figure out what the answer is. So anyone that has the answer can, I have a chat.
I said B.
B?
Yeah.
Okay, B. Anyone have B, 2 Bs? Does anyone disagree? A? Okay. What's everyone else's answer? That should be a quick answer. No backseas, Briana. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, Briana, why'd you change your answer to B?
Because I reread it and I tried to put replace vent with each of the words, and all this seems as the more fitting for the situation.
Mm-hmm. Why did you think it was A, which is opening it first? What were you, if you could walk us through the process of like how you interpreted that?
I first say A because I thought they were talking about like a certain person,
Mm-hmm.
like impatient found like an opening through someone, like through one of the cousins that they were waiting for them to come to to them for the reunion. But then I put outlet in there. It seemed as more formal, and also as it's convenient for the situation.
Mm-hmm. It seems more kind of fitting. So I like the strategy you used for questions like this, where they're asking you what a word means. Vent could almost kind of mean all of these words. So it's especially important to pay attention to the context that the word was said in, or typed in rather. So I'm going to go back up to the line. So it says, it's line 3. I'm just going to read it, the full sentence. 3 young men stood together on a wharf one bright October day, awaiting the arrival of an ocean steamer with an impatience which found a vent in lively skirmishes with a small lad who pervaded the premises like a will-o'-the-wisp and afforded much amusement to the other groups assembled there. That's a long sentence, first of all. So it can be kind of hard to keep track of what's going on. Definitely use commas to kind of break it up so you can put, organize clauses as you're reading it. So the important part was found a vent. So if you're not sure what vent means, I don't know if someone was about to say anything, but feel free to speak out.
Oh yeah, I wanted to add something. Like the reason why I picked B is because when I read like a will-o'-the-wisp, I just so wisp was like something like a strand or something, right? Like it has to go into a very little space. And then I also saw like amusement and all the other words that were like around it. So I was like, okay, you know what? It's like an outlet, like a little opening. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, I think that it's a very subtle difference because again, opening.
Can I also add on what she's saying? Then when I reread it, it says on the line before is the arrival of an ocean steamer. So that made me thought about like a boat that normally has like the stream coming up. So I thought like, oh, from all these words, which one is most likely to mean like a small pipe?
Yeah, that makes sense. I like how you guys have different ways of coming to the right answer. Just shows how, everyone thinks differently, and you're coming up with creative ways to kind of, arrive at the correct answer. So another way to look at it as well is the word where we get to, it says 3 young men stood together on a wharf one bright October day, awaiting the arrival of an ocean steamer with an impatience which found a vent. Right there, that part of the sentence, it's saying that impatience is something, a noun, let's say, that found a vent. So we're being asked about this question, this word vent, and we're trying to figure out what it means. It, I guess, kind of belongs to the word impatience here in this context. So an impatience which found a vent in lively skirmishes with a small lad. So skirmishes mean kind of like play fighting. I don't know if you guys knew what that meant. So it's in this context, in this paragraph / sentence, the thing that needs the vent is impatience. Their impatience, because it says impatience which found a vent. So if something needs a vent, that means it needs to be let out. Yeah. So yours, what you said was a little different, but it still got to the right answer. So if something, so impatience, if you're impatient, it means you're kind of like, maybe you have a lot of bottled up energy or something and you kind of need to let it out. So it says their impatience, which found a vent in lively skirmishes with a small lad. So we can stop right there. We don't have to read the rest because we're just looking for what the word vent means. And then, the sentence goes on and on. It's very long. So this impatience they had, that bottled up energy they had, that they had to let out, it found a vent, meaning an outlet or a way to express itself in lively skirmishes, meaning they got their excitement out by kind of play fighting with this small lad here. So the best. Okay, somebody listen to music. Okay, so we, all right. I'm just teasing. Let me go back to sharing the screen. I thought you had a question. So what I was saying is, once you see, let me scroll on back up. Once you see that what the vent belongs to, the vent belongs to impatience, because impatience found a vent. Then you can kind of look at the word choice. I'm going to scroll back down to our question. And we can see that impatience, would impatience need an opening to let itself out? Kind of, yeah, that works. Would impatience need an outlet? We know that's the answer. So we're going to go ahead and say yes, of course. Would impatience need a crack? That doesn't really make sense. And a crack implies that that's accidental. A vent, an opening, an outlet, those are purposeful things.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So also when you were going over right now, I was thinking like an outlet was also like you know, you used to charge your thing, but then it's also like used to express yourself. Like there's not much to say, like but I mean, like there's not much to like you may not have courage, but there is like a little it's like a switch on and switch off button.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it too, because an outlet, when we think of electrical outlets, in the electrical sense, it's letting out energy, literally. I don't know if you guys have taken physics, but when you find an outlet, it's letting out energy, it's expressing energy. So sometimes when you don't know what a word means, or if you, because words have different meanings. If you're not familiar with a particular word meaning, you can kind of use what you do know about it to help you understand what it means in this context. So Divya, that's a good point you mentioned about electrical outlet and how you can change that meaning to kind of refer to how you express yourself. You're letting out your energy. So that's a good point. Crack, again, like I said, crack is kind of like accidental. If you have a crack in something, it's like not something that you meant to do. And we're trying to capture the essence of the word vent. So when we have a vent, it's not accidental, it's put there on purpose. And it also has more positive connotations. Positive connotations means kind of positive underlying meaning to words. And some of these things too, guys, I will put some little vocab and stuff on the Google Classroom after, okay? Okay, then when we're talking about impatience, right? So passage, impatience, needing a passage. Just gonna check the. Yeah, exactly. Like when you have to vent to your friend about your problems. Exactly. So when you vent to your friend about your problems, that provides you an outlet to get your worries out kind of to them, right? So yeah, passage doesn't quite fit as either because it's like, well, we can use Divya's example of venting to your friends. It's like you don't passage to your friends, or, you know, that just doesn't really make sense. So once we understood how the word vent was being used in the original sentence, we kind of located what it was being attributed to. It was being attributed to patience. Once we understood that, we were able to kind of narrow these things out somewhat easily, although they can be similar. They look like as if they are similar upon first glance. So again, as always, if you have any questions, write them down for number 4, but I might have to answer them later for the sake of time. Moving on, question 5. The conversation between the lady and the stranger in lines 7 through 26 serves primarily to, and I'll just get a few answers from you guys, and then we're gonna look at why those are correct or incorrect.
I got B for 5.
B already?
Yeah.
Thank you. So what else did anyone else get before I read?
I have A.
We have an A, we have a B, we have 2 Bs, an A.
I
Are
have a
those
C.
right? Are they wrong? Sorry?
C.
C, okay. All right, we gotta get anybody for D? Another C. Malachi, you agree to what? B or C? Or what do you agree to? B, okay. Okay. So this is a little, this might be a little tricky, right? So
I feel it kind of goes around either B or C because they do talk about like both of them, but
you said it looks like it's either B or C.
yeah.
Yeah, it is tricky. So B says establish the relationships among the reuniting family. C, introduce the traits of the family members who are waiting. So those are, very similar, like you said just now. I think that was Briana speaking. Because it's both talking about relationships in the family and the traits of the family members. So those are very close. I think we can rule out D, demonstrate the lady's lack of knowledge about the family. That just seems pretty irrelevant. So if you can ever cross out something because you know that it's absolutely wrong, go ahead and do that. That'll help you when you get down to questions where you're not sure. So someone also said A, to show how the town locals tend to gossip about the family. So I'm going to scroll up and we're going to read the section that it is referring to. Oh. 7 through 26. Hold on one second. Among the reuniting family. They, him. All right, I'm going to scroll up here. We're going to look at lines 7 through 26. And we're looking at the conversation between the lady and the stranger. Here I can zoom in some because we're just looking at one section. So alrighty. So it says they are the Campbells, waiting for their cousin who has been abroad several years with their uncle, the doctor, whispered one lady to another as the handsomest of the young men touched his hat to her as he passed, lugging the boy, whom he had just rescued from a little expedition down among the piles. Which is that? Asked the stranger. Prince Charlie, as he's called, a fine fellow, the most promising of the 7, but a little fast, people say, answered the first speaker with a shake of the head. Are the others his brothers? No, cousins. The elder is Archie, a most exemplary young man. He has just gone into business with the merchant uncle and bids fair to be an honor to his family. The other, with the eyeglasses and no gloves, is Mac, the odd one, just out of college. And the boy? Oh, he is Jamie, the youngest brother of Archibald and the pet of the whole family. Mercy on us, he'll be in if they don't hold on to him. So when we hear just that part of the passage, what kinds of things is that telling us about? Just that part that I just read.
It's telling us about how three cousins are waiting for the cousin Charlie, and they describe how each one of them has like a trait of itself. Like Jamie is the pet of the whole family, and Archie is an exemplary young man, and then it goes with the older brother being like a merchant. So it's technically describing each one of them.
That's a good summary. Does anyone else have any other views as well?
Just explaining, like, just like Briana said, and explaining how like each one has its own role in the family. Yeah, I don't know really how to explain it. It's just I just thought it was like just introducing the cousins. Really.
Yes, that's true. This one's a little tricky because the answers are very close. But if we reread line 7, which is right here, they are the Campbells waiting for their cousin who has been abroad several years with her uncle, the doctor. So here we're being introduced to several characters at once. We hear they are the Campbells, so there's some Campbells, there are a few of them, and they're waiting for their cousin. She's been abroad, la, la, la. So the answer choice that says it introduces the traits of the family members who are waiting. That kind of is contradicted by this first line because it says they are the Campbells. So right there, when you say they are the Campbells, you're telling me who you're seeing in front of you, the Campbells. And then it goes on to say what they're doing. They're waiting for their cousin. So it brings, it not only, so it does tell the traits of the Campbells who are waiting, but this passage also tells you, yeah. It's very tricky though. It's very subtle. Sorry, I have a loud car backing up. If anything is too distracting, let me know. It's outside. Yes. So before we get to this paragraph, right, exactly. It's very subtle reading. And I believe option C it was, I'm not on the answer page, but the answer choice that said it introduces the traits of the family members who are waiting, that was a pretty good choice too, but it wasn't the complete picture of what this passage, line 7 to 26 are doing. So that's why it's incorrect. Option C, it is option B. But it's very subtle. So if you got that wrong, I would totally understand. But so just to finish the point on this, once we read the first paragraph, which is one sentence, a very long sentence, and we get to the second paragraph, which starts with they are the Campbells. Once we get there, we start to know who's in this passage, who's in this short story. Before that, before the stranger, before the lady tells us what's going on and who's waiting and who's being waited on, we don't know anyone. We just know that 3 young men, the first line, 3 young men stood there on a wharf. That's all we know. It was October, and that's it. Once she tells us they are the Campbells waiting for their cousin who has been abroad, then we start to realize the relationship of the 3 young men who are standing there, and also the relationship between them and who they're waiting on, which is their cousin who has been abroad several years with her uncle, who was a doctor. So all of that passage tells us that. Sorry, what was I about to say? So so again, it's just good to keep in mind, and the more you practice with this in mind, the better it'll be. And I'll write some practice tips on a Google Doc and share it on the Google Classroom. It's important to not assume, kind of make yourself like a blank slate when you're reading these passages. Only go off of what they're telling you. Be objective. Isaac also mentioned writing notes, very brief notes. Just say, for instance, earlier when we were talking about the word however in the very last paragraph, you might write a note because you can, write notes on your scratch sheet of paper and say, you can just take a note and say however, on the side, and that'll show you, maybe circle it, or different things work for different people, so it's up to you to decide how you want to go about it. But you can just mark where you see a big change in the story, a change in direction, something that contradicts what came before. So that's a good tip. Again, these tips and stuff I'm sharing, I'll compile them into a Google Doc and add it to the classroom. So now, question number 6. Which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? Quick review. The answer to the previous question was B. These lines 7 through 26 establish the relationship among the reuniting family. So we're looking for evidence that supports that.
I said A.
A?
Yeah.
All right, a couple more responses and then we'll check the answer.
I also said A.
A, okay. Anyone disagree with A? All right, so let's check A. So we're looking for evidence that establishes a relationship among the reuniting family. So sorry, got a text. So we're saying A says lines 7 through 8, start with they and end in doctor. All right, so let's check them. So what's your question, Malachi?
I wanted to know do you do this every Saturday, and are you doing a math one?
Yeah, we're going to do math as well. I think a little time was taken trying to figure out how to best show the A. Thank you, Briana. Best show the I guess the passage. After we covered this, C. After we covered this, I was going to ask everyone if they wanted to move on to math or finish the, well, I guess after this we can finish this and just move on to math. Would you guys rather finish this to question 11 or do math? Finish this. Math. We do meet every Saturday. Math.
I think we can do math for next one, and then when we come back, like what we think the answers are for this one. The rest.
It is kind of split. It is a little split. We can do math next time.
I feel like it's more reasonable because to do like finish this because we're on it anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna speed this up a little bit, and then we'll have a little time for math, and then next time we'll start with math and do more like language arts probably, since we did reading this time. What question were we on? 6?
Yes.
Yes, okay, 6, thank you. So we have some A's, some C's. So now, let's check A. A is line 7 through 8, so 6, 7. They're the Campbells awaiting their, you said when we come back, we can say the answers we got by ourselves next Saturday, discuss them, and then pass into math. We could do that.
Yeah, because there's some, from this one, there's like 3 more choices. So it's so little than I think if we just read it, we can have our own answers. And then the first thing for next Saturday, we just said our answers and talk about it, then pass into math.
I think that's a good option, because we kind of have an idea of how this is going. How to read we have some little tips on how to read the passage. So I think that's probably a good idea, Briana. Thank you for the suggestion. I'd like to see, ask you guys and see like what you need more. Okay, so let's finish this one and then we'll move on. Okay, so we're looking for evidence that supports our previous answer we arrived at, which was that the lady, what she's saying, establishes the relationships among the reuniting family. So we're saying that it's, okay, no problem, Sky. See you next week. And you're welcome. Thanks for coming. Okay, so we're looking at 6 through 8. So, sorry, 7 through 8. They are the Campbells waiting for their cousin who has been abroad several years with her uncle, the doctor. So, right there, what is that statement telling you?
The conversation is starting like with who those people are and what are they gathered over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why I selected that was because it was a closer line that showed evidence for the previous question, as the previous question was B, right? So that's why I picked that, because the other one was like, the B was for number 7 or 6 was like explaining who Prince Charlie was, and it kind of, that's only focusing on one person.
Yeah, that's true. So that's a good way to rule out the option that says lines 12 to 13, because that focuses on only one person. When we know that the answer we're looking to provide evidence for is talking about establishing the relationships among family members. So another person said C. C was looking at lines 16 through 18, I believe. So I'm just gonna look at that here. 15, 16. So it says, are the others his brothers? No, cousins. The elder is Archie and a most exemplary young man. He has just gone into business with the merchant uncle. So we're kind of already, that's actually line 9. So this part only talks about, it's talking about the 3 young men who are on the wharf. Because it's the stranger is asking the lady, are the others his brothers? That's only referring to the young men. She says, no, cousins. The elder is Archie. So that part does not provide evidence for, it does not help to establish the relationships among the reuniting family. It establishes the relationships among family members a little bit because it says that no, they're not his brothers, they're his cousins, but it doesn't speak to the person who they're waiting for, which is their cousin coming off of the steamer. And it doesn't speak to, it goes in detail only for the elder Charlie. So that is why that is not the correct answer choice. Now, we're going to shift gears and go into math. So we can cover some math today. As Briana suggested, which I thought that was a great idea, glad for the feedback. The rest of the problems, so we stopped today at 6, number 6. So you can continue with 7 through 11. And we're going to review those next time and we can see why we got them wrong or right. And this will also give you a good chance to kind of practice on your own now that you have an idea of, or some more tips to incorporate into your answering your questions and reading your passages. All right, so give me 1 second. I'm going to just pull up my math stuff. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen for 1 second. Actually, I think it's on the same page. I forgot I added it. Alrighty, so I hope we have our paper. Actually, this is, I forgot I added it to the same Google document, so it's also there where the passage was. Just if you scroll down. Alrighty, so let's get into it. Manon's statistics professor puts a bonus question on every test, which adds 0.25 points to a student's overall grade at the end of the term. The above equation gives Manon's current overall grade T after taking into account Q extra credit questions answered correctly. What does the 87 mean in this equation? So how do we start off trying to figure this out?
Can I go?
Sorry, what?
Can I like answer?
Yeah, anyone can answer, yeah. Go ahead.
Alright, so like here while reading it, it says that so there's a bonus question which is 0.25 points, which adds 0.25 points to the overall grade. So this 0.25 Q is basically Q would be the number of extra credit questions as mentioned, and T is the grade including the points got from the bonus question. So I said that 87 means the grade before, not including the added points from the bonus question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the total number of points of the test, not including the extra credit questions.
Does anyone have any other, do you disagree with Divya? Do you agree? How do we feel? No, I'll go ahead and move on. So one thing that helps okay, thank you guys. Okay, so I'm going to explain now. So one thing that helps with math, I had mentioned it before, but that was the last session, so it's always worth mentioning again. One, we want to remember the order of operations. What does order of operations means? It just means what comes first, after, etc. So the order that you do things in math. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So let me keep this up here with this. So we're always going to consider this anytime we are doing math. Let me change this. Okay. Let's just change the settings here. Alrighty. Running out of space. Okay, so we're going to look at what this question is telling us. This block of words, this block of text. Now it's important to remember that the math, it's just, again, it's like another language. We already know the language. We know what it means, but we just have to translate what language it's in. Or rather, we have to translate what the math is trying to tell us. But we already really know, just because, you know, at this age, you kind of, you know how to add and subtract and multiply and divide. It's just more depending on, it's just more getting the question out. So let's reread this really quickly. Math and statistics professor puts a bonus question on every test, which adds 0.25 points to a student's overall grade at the end of the term. Okay, interesting. Okay, so let's keep reading. The above equation, that's this equation, gives Manon's current overall grade T. Now here we have a definition. So let's rewrite this. We have current overall grade, that's T. I just copied this right here. Current overall grade T. After taking into account Q extra credit questions. So this overall grade is just the whole grade with the extra credit questions added to it. So we know that that's the case. This is what T equals. So we also know that Q is the number of extra credit questions. So I'm also going to write that down. Q equals, and I'm just going to copy this because this is what this is. Extra credit questions. extra credit questions. So now, so that we can kind of think of this in a different way and try to really translate and see what this math in front of us is saying, we're going to rewrite this, but just using the words that I just got here. So I'm going to rewrite this equation right here, but I'm going to use these new things I just figured out. So I have t equals. So t equals, I know that t equals the current overall grade. So I'm going to just copy that and bring it on down. We're going to rewrite the whole equation. Current overall grade. All right, cool. Next, I have 0.25 times Q. Well, I know what Q is because it says it right here. Well, it says it right here, but I rewrote it just so we can be clear. So if Q equals extra credit questions, oops, sorry about that. I'm going to write 0.25 times, well, let me put times so clear. Extra, okay, let me copy and paste. Extra credit questions. Now, next in this equation, we have plus 87. Plus 87. Now, so we have it written out more in the language that we're used to speaking and understanding things in, which is English, right? So if we have the current overall grade is 0.25 times extra credit questions plus 87, how do we start to figure out what 87 means? Anybody? All right, we're still confused. Okay, I'll keep going.
I think is, you mean on how we determine 87?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so like you're reading here, we can take it from context clues found in the text. Like if it says then the current overall grade is T, and Q and is the extra credit questions, and 0.25 is the worth of each extra credit question.
Mm-hmm.
We have to take in consideration that the grade itself is not going to be built by the extra credit, but there's also an amount that was already there, then it's going to be added up. So that will be 87. So that will be the current grade
Mm-hmm.
than the student got in the exam.
Yes, that's true. So if this way doesn't help, what Briana was just saying is correct, which is just reading the passage and seeing, what you have left. Because we already have Q. Q is the extra credit questions, right? And you multiply that by 0.25. Then you add it to 87 and you get the current overall grade. Another way to look at this, I'm going to bring this back up here. Hold on 1 second, let me switch this to single. Taking up too much space here. Another way to look at this is if you wanted to keep it more, looking more like a regular equation, you could say, you could isolate 87. Because remember, when we say equal, when we're doing math and we use the equal sign, it just means what something is. Equal means is. Equal equals is. So to find out what 87 is, which is the question, it says, what does 87 mean in this question? To find out what 87 is, what we can do is isolate. That means get the 87 on one side of the equal sign by itself, so we can see just purely what it is. So to do that, what we can do is we can subtract 0.25q from both sides. So that becomes t minus 0.25q equals 87. So now we have 87 by itself. So what we just have to figure out is we can go back to our passage here, figure out what t is and q. So t is the overall grade, the current overall grade. That's what t is. Q is with the extra credit question. Sorry, I can't seem to say that phrase. Q is with the extra credit questions. So the current overall grade minus the extra credit equals 87. So what that's saying is that basically, yeah, I guess I just restate what I just said. 87 is the grade the overall grade when you take away the extra credit questions.
So we can say it's technically the raw score of the student without the extras.
Yeah, you can say that. I don't remember. Let me, did I give you answer choices here? I did not, sorry. Yeah, how the answer was listed. One second, I'm going to stop sharing my screen very quickly and come back. Yeah, so it just said, you can say the raw score. The questions, the answers listed, it says Menon's average is an 87 before adding the extra credit. It was hard to copy and paste. It came out really terribly when I did that, so that's why I didn't give you guys the answer questions. They do not allow you to copy and paste it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to go into the next problem. We have just a few minutes left. So
every Saturday will be from 2:30 to 4:30.
Actually, it's supposed to be to 4, but I wanted to do some math. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys have questions, I really don't mind hanging around, you know? But the scheduled time is 2:30 to 4. Yeah. So that's the official time. So, one second. Question. Yes, this is SAT practice. I mean, I'm helping you get to the answer, but of course, most of the practice you're gonna have to do in your own time and apply, you know, what we learn here, because that's really how you're going to improve, you know, so you gotta keep that in mind. Khan Academy, again, has a lot of resources, like a lot of practice problems, what I meant to say, a lot of questions, and they grade it for you. I will also try to find, I know some other resources, but yeah, so one second. You're welcome, Brianna. See you next week. Yeah, I could. Divya, you might want to email me maybe either a picture or copy and paste it.
Okay.
Yeah. Malachi, you're not taking the SAT, sorry. Are you doing the ACT? Okay. Well, we like having you here anyway. All right, let me make sure I copied this correctly. 1 second. Okay, should emit bias, be bounds of blueberries and art pounds of raspberries. Okay. Alrighty. So we'll finish this and finish out this session. Any other questions? You can email me. Okay, I see Malachi. Alrighty. All right, the above equation is true if Amit buys B pounds of blueberries and R pounds of raspberries at a farm where blueberries cost $5.50 per pound and raspberries cost $4 per pound. According to the equation, how much does Amit spend in total on both types of berries? I'm just going to do this very quickly. So 28, yes. 28 is right. 28 is right because it tells us here that blueberries cost $5.50 per pound. So the 550 B is showing us the cost for blueberries. Then it says raspberries cost $4 per pound. So that's standing in, the 4R is representing that, sorry. So it says this above equation is true if he buys B pounds of blueberries and R pounds of raspberries at a farm. It gives the cost for each. According to the equation, how much does Amit spend in total on both types of berries? So we don't really have to figure out how many pounds he has because it already tells us what he spends on blueberries here plus what he spends on raspberries here equals 28. So sometimes with these math problems, you can read it and kind of reason it out without having to do any calculation. If you just understand what the symbols actually are representing. So 28 is right. All right, so great session, everyone. I appreciated the participation. Now that I know kind of more where everyone is, we can tailor our lessons to reflect that. And we will be covering reading and language arts / grammar, or the writing section, and everything like that. But your feedback and what you want to cover helps me to figure out how I want to go each session, okay? So I will see you all here next Saturday at 2:30 Please feel free to email me any questions. Divya, I know you had a question for your PSAT, and I will get back to you within a couple days. Just give me a couple days because I got grown folks things to do, you know. So yeah, anytime we go over time, I don't mind it, but I have to keep within the certain time for the library, but I don't mind helping, you know, after the fact. Does anyone have any comments before we close it out today?
I just want to say thank you for like providing us the lesson.
You're welcome. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. I appreciate you appreciating me, Divya. Okay? I appreciate it. All right, guys. Any other comments? Divya's making me blush. Know if you can see the blush coming in. All right, guys. It was lovely seeing you again. Yes, I can help you, Malachi.
Thank you.
You're welcome, dear. I'll see you next week, okay?
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.